Dear ladies and gentlemen, dear graduates, congratulations. Thank you for the honor and opportunity to address you on what should be one of the happiest days of your life. Today is your day. Your education at Albania's first private university has come to an end, in turn allowing you to turn to the next important chapters of your life, namely your professional endeavors and careers. I want to dedicate my words to you tonight to your future in the context of two themes. As already mentioned, the global financial and economic crisis. Well, I am an economist after all. And also as you, as young Albanians today. You are namely graduating in a time of global economic crisis. To cite the president of Yale University at this year's commencement, quote, "The world economy is a mess," unquote. Too lax financial regulation and supervision in the United States enable the accumulation of too much debt, in particular by households and firms. You might have heard buzzwords like no-doc loans or subprime mortgages. Well, if you haven't, just as well. Hopefully we will never have to encounter them again. The high levels of debt in turn implied that when asset prices started declining, households defaulted on their mortgages, there were personal and corporate bankruptcies, and banks became insolvent. To summarize, the collapse of the US housing market has led to global collapse of key financial institutions, commercial real estate markets, capital markets, including stock markets and interbank lending markets, trade credit and hence trade volumes, consumer credit and consumer spending, and capital investment. In short, it has been quite a ride, and it is not over yet. It is worth noting that the current global financial and economic crisis is not a testimony to the failure of the market system or globalization per se. Rather, the openings of economies to free trade and investment and the transition of the former centrally planned economies to market economies of the last decades have combined with the rapid advance of science and technology have led to a level of global economic growth never before experienced. And looking ahead, as foreseen already by Keynes in the midst of the Great Depression of the 1930s, such a scenario is still to be expected. Increased protectionism is definitely not the answer to this crisis. So, what does this all mean for you? Well, the current crisis has by several commentators called in question the relevance of graduate education and also its sustainability in light of shrinking funding sources. On the contrary, the current global financial and economic crisis more than ever underscores the need for high-quality, high-level education to enable us to understand why we are where we are today and ensure that we learn from our past mistakes in order to be better prepared in the future. Indeed, thanks to lessons already learned from the Great Depression, when policy responses from the key players actually worsened the economic situation, the global response this time around has been effective and has importantly mitigated the negative impact of the crisis. Fiscal and monetary policy interventions have been unprecedented, not only in terms of their size and the innovative measures, but also in terms of substantial degree of coordination among the key global powers. Looking ahead, Albania will need you and your experiences, whatever your field of study, to help it exit from the global crisis in the best possible way. The global crisis has, of course, also impacted on employment opportunities. And many of you might feel a bit hesitant and anxious right now about having to enter the market at the current juncture. Still, you should not be discouraged. First, the economy will turn around. It is just a question of when. Second, realize that a crisis can be a very good trigger for re-evaluating your choices and discovering new options that otherwise would have gone unnoticed. And third, and perhaps most importantly, high-level education does not only pay off in a material sense. It is personally fulfilling, and it prepares you for lives of service to your family, your community, your country, and the world. And this leads me, in fact, naturally over to my second theme, you as young Albanians and your future. While I'm only a guest in your beautiful country, after some 4 years I have, however, learned something about Albania and its citizens. And I will tell you that one of the strengths of Albania and of the Albanians is, in fact, your history. Yes, the fact that you all know so well where you're coming from also means that you know exactly where you're going. The country and its citizens are steadfastly moving toward ever closer Euro-Atlantic integration, without looking over their shoulder. Believe me, this solid understanding of where the future lies, uniformly shared by everyone, is a clear strength in itself. However, at the same time, this also means that the answers and the directions to the rest of your life cannot be found in your past. You yourselves will need to take charge of your own future. And while this is true for young people everywhere, you as young Albanians have an even greater challenge is that little guidance can be found from the past. Do not hesitate to wander paths that others have not. Do not hesitate to make career choices that are unfamiliar or to move to places where you have not been before. Do not hesitate if these choices in the end are the ones closest to your heart and your desires. Follow your instincts. Realize that it's very difficult to be good at something that you don't like. And don't forget that a very good way of finding out what you like is by finding out what you don't like. As a graduate student in the United States, I kept a French postcard with a little girl building a sandcastle and the text, "Ta vie, c'est toi qui la construiras." It is you who are building your life. Carpe diem, seize the day. Perhaps all the more relevant for you. It is not only a matter of having opportunities. You, belonging to the small privileged group of Albanians with access to high-level education, have a moral obligation to also do the best of these opportunities. Best of luck, ju uroj fat, faleminderit.
Thanks, Dr. Weston. The graduation address tonight will be delivered by the Vice President for External Affairs at State University of New York, Empire State College, Dr. Hugh Hammett. Dr. Hammett is trained as an American historian and holds a PhD from the University of Virginia. He's held many key positions in the past, and he's also been past chair of the board of directors of the U.S.'s largest lifelong learning association, the Learning Resources Network. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Hugh Hammett.
Good evening. President Futsis, distinguished colleagues, graduates, and your families. Being a speaker at a graduation such as this requires special responsibility and great humility. While the speakers get most of the time and the attention in front of this audience, the real spotlight ought to be on our student graduates and your family and friends who have supported you, your hard work, and your academic success. This ceremony, then, is not about anything that I or my handsomely robed colleagues here might say. It is about you, the students we recognize today, your struggle, the discipline it took, the uncounted hours you invested, and the joy of achieving challenging goals that you are now realizing. In the United States, the word commencement is synonymous with graduation. It is a word that has the connotation of a new beginning, of starting out fresh. For some of you, this celebration may represent the start of something new, maybe something big. You may have lined up a job with an international corporation, or you may still be looking. Maybe you'll get married or start a family. Maybe go into the military or the government civil service in your home country. Maybe move somewhere new and different. Anyway, you needed to earn this important educational credential, a university diploma, to start fresh.